Early life. Enzo Ferrari, born on 20 February 1898 in Modena, Italy, grew up in a family involved in metal fabrication. He had little formal education, but was inspired to become a racing driver at the age of 10, after witnessing Felice Nazzaro's victory at the 1908 Circuito di Bologna. During World War I, Ferrari served in the 3rd Mountain Artillery Regiment of the Italian Army. Tragically, both his father Alfredo and his older brother Alfredo Jr. died in 1916 due to the Italian flu outbreak. Enzo himself fell severely ill during the 1918 flu pandemic and was subsequently discharged from the military. Racing career. Enzo Ferrari's journey in the automotive industry began after his family's carpentry business collapsed. He initially sought a job at Fiat in Turin, but was unsuccessful. Eventually, he found work as a test driver for Costruzioni Meccaniche Nazionale, a car manufacturer in Milan specializing in rebuilding used truck bodies into small passenger cars. Ferrari's role at CMM evolved, and he was promoted to a race car driver. He made his competitive debut in the 1919 Parma Poggio di Berceto hill climb race, finishing 4th in the 3-liter category with a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine. Later that year, he participated in the Targa Florio but had to retire due to a fuel tank leak. Despite the numerous retirements in the race, Ferrari managed to secure a 9th-place finish. In 1920, Ferrari joined Alfa Romeo's racing department as a driver. His breakthrough came in 1923 when he won his first Grand Prix on the Savio circuit in Ravenna. The following year, he had a stellar season with victories in Ravenna, Polzines, and the Coppa Acerbo in Pescara. However, the tragic deaths of Ugo Savacci in 1923 and Antonio Ascari in 1925 deeply affected Ferrari, leading to a decline in his racing performance. Simultaneously, he developed a keen interest in the organizational aspects of Grand Prix racing. Following the birth of his son Alfredo, Dino, in 1932, Ferrari made the decision to retire from competitive driving. Instead, he focused on managing and developing the Alfa Romeo factory race cars, gradually building up the renowned racing team known as Scuderia Ferrari, founded by Enzo in 1929. The team acted as the racing division for Alfa Romeo and achieved remarkable success, thanks to exceptional cars like the Alfa Romeo 3 and talented drivers such as Tazio Nuvolari. During this period, the iconic prancing horse emblem started to appear on Ferrari's team cars. The emblem originated from Italian fighter pilot Francesco Baracca, who had it painted on his aircraft. Prior to Baracca's tragic death in 1918, his mother gifted Ferrari a necklace with the prancing horse symbol. In honor of Baracca, Ferrari used the prancing horse to create the emblem that would eventually become the world-famous Ferrari shield. Initially, the shield adorned Alfa Romeos, but it made its first appearance on a Ferrari car in 1947. Enzo Ferrari's competitive driving career spanned 41 Grand Prix, resulting in 11 victories. His passion for racing, coupled with his organizational skills and commitment to excellence, laid the foundation for the enduring legacy of Ferrari as a symbol of speed, luxury, and unyielding passion in the automotive world. Building Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari's partnership with Alfa Romeo lasted until 1933, when financial constraints led to a withdrawal of support. However, thanks to the intervention of Pirelli, the decision was reversed, and Alfa Romeo continued to back Ferrari's racing team. Despite the formidable drivers in the Scuderia Ferrari lineup, they struggled to compete against dominant manufacturers like Auto Union and Mercedes. However, a notable victory came in 1935 when Tazio Nuvolari triumphed over Rudolf Caracola and Bernd Rosemeyer at the German Grand Prix. In 1937, Scuderia Ferrari was dissolved, and Enzo Ferrari returned to Alfa Romeo's racing team, which was now named Alfa Corse. Alfa Romeo decided to regain full control of its racing division, with Ferrari serving as the sporting director. However, a disagreement with Alfa's managing director, Ugo Gobbato, led to Ferrari's departure in 1939. He then founded Auto Avio Costruzioni, a company that supplied parts to other racing teams. Despite a contract clause preventing him from racing or designing cars for 4 years, Ferrari managed to manufacture 2 cars for the 1940 Mille Miglia, driven by Alberto Ascari and Lotario Rangoni. The outbreak of World War II necessitated Ferrari's factory to shift its focus to war production for Mussolini's government. After Allied bombings damaged the factory, Ferrari relocated from Modena to Maranello. Following the war, Enzo Ferrari decided to establish a company bearing his name and founded Ferrari SPA. In 1947, with his own team, Ferrari aimed to challenge the dominant Alfa Romeos. Their open-wheel debut occurred in Turin in 1948, and their first victory came later that year in Lago di Garda. The team achieved a significant triumph at the 1949 24 Hours of Le Mans, with a Ferrari 166M driven by Luigi Chinetti and Peter Mitchell. In 1950, Ferrari entered the newly formed Drivers' World Championship and has remained a consistent participant since. Their first World Championship Grand Prix win came in 1951 at Silverstone with Jose Froilan Gonzalez behind the wheel. Ferrari's first championship victory arrived in 1952 with Alberto Ascari, followed by another win in 1953. The company also made a one-time attempt at the Indianapolis 500 that same year. To finance their racing endeavors, Ferrari began selling sports cars alongside their Formula One involvement in other events such as the Mille Miglia and Le Mans. Participation in the Mille Miglia brought Ferrari both victories and increased public recognition, but the race's inherent dangers eventually led to tragedy. During the 1957 Mille Miglia, a Ferrari 335S driven by Alfonso de Portigo suffered a blowout at high speed, causing a fatal crash that claimed the lives of de Portigo, his co-driver, and 9 spectators, including 5 children. Enzo Ferrari and the tire manufacturer Engelbert were charged with manslaughter, although the case was eventually dismissed in 1961. Unsatisfied with the Italian press coverage of motorsports, Ferrari supported the establishment of a new publication called Autosprint in 1961. He personally contributed to the magazine for several years. Many of Ferrari's greatest triumphs came at Le Mans, where they secured 9 victories, including an unprecedented 6 consecutive wins from 1960 to 1965. Ferrari also achieved remarkable success in Formula One during the 1950s and 1960s, with drivers like Juan Manuel Fangio, 1956, Mike Hawthorne, 1958, and Phil Hill, 1951. These victories solidified Ferrari's status as a dominant force in motorsport. The Great Walkout. Enzo Ferrari's strong personality and controversial management style became notorious in 1962, when a significant upheaval occurred within the company. After a disappointing defense of Phil Hill's 1961 world title, key figures including sales manager Girolamo Gardini, manager Romolo Tavoni, chief engineer Carlo Chitti, and sports car development chief Giotto Bizzarini left Ferrari to establish a rival car manufacturer and racing team called Automobili Turismo eSport ATS. In Bologna, Count Giovanni Volpi provided financial support to ATS, which successfully lured Phil Hill and Giancarlo Baghetti away from Ferrari. In response, Enzo Ferrari promoted junior engineers like Mauro Forrieri, Sergio Scaglietti, and Giampaolo Dallara, while also hiring drivers such as Ludovico Scarfiati, Lorenzo Bandini, Willy Marezzo Bandini, Willy Mares, and John Surtees to compete in Formula One. This significant shakeup occurred during a challenging period for Ferrari, as they were developing a new model based on the 250 series, with uncertainties about its potential success in racing. However, Ferrari's strategic changes proved successful. The mid-engine Dino racers laid the foundation for Forchieri's dominant 250-powered 250p model. In 1964, John Surtees clinched the world title in a tense battle against Jim Clark and Graham Hill. Additionally, Ferrari's Dino road cars enjoyed strong sales, and other models, such as the 275 and Daytona, were in the pipeline. In contrast, ATS experienced a troubled Formula One campaign in 1963, with both cars retiring 4 times in 5 races. As a result, the team folded at the end of that year. In a 1998 interview, Romolo Tavoni revealed that he and the other senior figures did not leave Ferrari voluntarily, but were instead ousted due to a disagreement with Enzo Ferrari regarding the role of his wife within the company. Tavoni acknowledged that their approach of resorting to a lawyer and writing a letter was a mistake, as they should have openly discussed the matter with Ferrari. By the time Ferrari called the meeting to dismiss them, he had already nominated their successors. This episode marked a significant moment in Ferrari's history, highlighting the turbulent dynamics within the company and the subsequent departure of key personnel. Despite the challenges faced during this period, Ferrari managed to reorganize and achieve success, both in racing and with their road car models, merging with Fiat. In the late 1960s, Ferrari faced mounting financial difficulties and challenges related to racing in multiple categories, while also having to meet new safety and emissions requirements for road car production. Consequently, Enzo Ferrari began seeking a business partner. In 1969, Ferrari sold 50% of his company to Fiat, under the condition that he would retain full control of the racing activities. Fiat agreed to provide a substantial subsidy to Ferrari's Maranello and Modena production plants until his death. It's worth noting that Ferrari had previously offered Ford the opportunity to purchase the company in 1963, but the negotiations fell through when Ferrari realized that Ford would not grant him independent control over the racing department. Ferrari had already transformed into a joint stock company by that time, with Fiat acquiring a small share in 1965. In 1969, Fiat increased its ownership to 50%, and in 1988, it further increased to 90%. Following the agreement with Fiat, Enzo Ferrari stepped down as managing director of the road car division in 1971. In 1974, he appointed Luca Cordero di Montezemolo as the sporting director Formula One team manager. Montezemolo would later assume the presidency of Ferrari in 1992, a position he held until September 2014. During this period, Ferrari experienced notable successes in Formula One, with Clay Regazzoni finishing as the runner-up in 1974 and Niki Lauda winning the championship in 1975 and 1977. However, in 1977, Ferrari faced criticism in the press for replacing world champion Lauda with rookie Gilles Villeneuve. Enzo Ferrari defended the decision, citing Villeneuve's aggressive driving style reminiscent of the legendary Tazio Nuvolari. This sentiment was further reinforced after Villeneuve's intense battle with René Arnoux during the 1979 French Grand Prix, where he finished second. Ferrari's technical director, Mauro Fortieri, described Enzo Ferrari's elation upon their return to Maranello, saying he had never seen him so happy for a second-place finish. The partnership with Fiat brought financial stability to Ferrari while enabling the continuation of their racing activities. The appointment of Luca Cordero di Montezemolo and the team's successes in Formula One further solidified Ferrari's position as one of the most formidable and iconic brands in the automotive world. Final years. After Jody Scheckter won the Formula One World Championship title for Ferrari in 1979, the team faced a disastrous 1980 season. Seeking to turn their fortunes around, Ferrari decided to switch to turbo engines in 1981. The introduction of the turbo-powered Ferrari 126 C2 in 1982 showed promising performance. However, tragedy struck the team when driver Gilles Villeneuve lost his life in a fatal accident during the last practice session for the Belgian Grand Prix in Zolder in May of that year. In August, Ferrari faced another devastating incident at Hockenheim, when teammate Didier Pironi suffered a violent end-over-end flip on the misty back, straight after colliding with Alain Prost's Renault Formula One car. Pironi, who was leading the Drivers' Championship at the time, had his career cut short. He was unable to compete in the remaining 5 races of the season, ultimately losing the championship by a mere 5 points. Despite these setbacks, Ferrari managed to secure the Constructors' Championship title at the end of the 1982 season. In 1983, with driver René Arnoux in contention for the championship until the final race, Ferrari showcased their competitiveness. However, they fell short of the ultimate victory. Michele Alboreto finished as the runner-up in the Drivers' Championship in 1985, but Ferrari did not see another championship triumph before the passing of Enzo Ferrari in 1988. The final race win during Enzo Ferrari's lifetime came at the 1987 Australian Grand Prix, where Gerhard Berger and Michele Alboreto secured a remarkable 1-2 finish for the team. This victory marked a memorable moment for Ferrari, showcasing their racing prowess and their ability to compete at the highest level of motorsport. Death. Enzo Ferrari passed away on 14 August 1988 at the age of 90 in Maranello. The cause of his death was not disclosed, and the news of his passing was not made public until 2 days later, following Enzo's request to compensate for the late registration of his birth. Prior to his death, Ferrari had the opportunity to witness the launch of the Ferrari F40, a car dedicated as a symbol of his remarkable achievements. In 2002, the company commenced production of the Ferrari Enzo, named in honor of its visionary founder. Despite the loss of Enzo Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari team continued to thrive. The Italian Grand Prix, which took place just weeks after Ferrari's passing, resulted in a notable 1-2 finish for the team. Austrian driver Gerhard Berger led the race, followed by Italian and Milan native Michele Alboreto. This victory prevented McLaren from winning every race that season. Following Enzo Ferrari's death, the Scuderia Ferrari team sustained their success. They clinched the Constructors' Championship every year from 1999 to 2004, as well as in 2007 and 2008. Legendary driver Michael Schumacher secured the World Drivers' Championship with Scuderia Ferrari from 2000 to 2004, while Kimi Räikkönen claimed the title with the team in 2007. The team's achievements in the years following Enzo Ferrari's passing continue to uphold his legacy and solidify Ferrari's position as one of the most successful and revered names in motorsport.